Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Hello everyone, my name is M.Pd with last two digits number 01. So in this video I would like to present my proposal titled Ecoliteracy Messages in English for Change textbook, a content analysis using Abrar's framework and SDG 13. So let me begin with the background. Climate change is a major global challenge, and the United Nations highlight this through the SDG 13, Climate Actions, which stresses the importance of climate education and awareness. In Indonesia, the curriculum Merdeka encourages schools to connect lessons with real-life issues, including environmental sustainability. Since English textbooks are widely used, they can play an important role in promoting environmental values on students. The concept of ecoliteracy, introduced by R and developed further by Capra, explains individuals understand nature and act responsibility toward the environment. Capra described 4 dimensions: knowledge, feeling, actions, and values. The English for Change textbook for grade 11 includes several environmental themes, making it a relevant source for examining ecoliteracy messages and their alignment with SDG 13. Next, let's move on to the problem statement. Even though environmental topics appear in the curriculum, research focusing on ecoliteracy in Indonesian EFL textbook is still limited. Most previous studies examine science or early childhood materials, not English textbook used in high schools. Therefore, we still do not know how ecoliteracy messages appear in English for Change, what forms they take, and how they relate to Abrar's framework and SDG 13. Now let's continue to the research questions. This study aims to answer 3 questions. First, what ecoliteracy messages to appear in Units 2, 3, and 4, both textual and visual. Second, how are these messages categorized using Abrar's dimensions? Third, to what extent do the messages support SDG 13, especially target 13.3. Based on these questions, here are the objectives. First, to identify ecoliteracy messages in the selected units. Second, to categorize them using Abrar's framework. Third, to examine how far they align with SDG 13. Next, let's talk about significance of the study. Theoretically, this research adds to discussions about ecoliteracy in English language teaching and show how content analysis can be used in textbook studies. Practically, the findings can help teachers to understand which parts of this textbook present strong or weak ecoliteracy messages. Teachers can add supporting explanations or activities. For policy and materials development, the results offer insights that may be useful for curriculum development and textbook writers. Now let's move to the scope and limitation. This study focuses on only on units 2, 3, and 4 of the English for Change grade 11 textbook because these units clearly contain environmental themes. It examines ecoliteracy messages found in text, exercise, dialogues, and images. However, this study does not observe classroom teaching, does not measure actual students' behavior, and and focuses mainly on SDG 13 rather than older SDGs. First, the concept of ecoliteracy itself. Ecoliteracy refers to understanding how natural systems work and how humans should live in harmony with the environment. It aims to build knowledge, awareness, and responsible attitudes. Second, Capra's ecoliteracy framework. Capra highlights 4 dimensions. First is knowledge, understanding ecological concept. Second is feelings, emotional connections to nature. Next is action, practical environmental behavior. And last is values, beliefs, and responsibilities towards nature. These 4 dimensions guide the coding process in this study. Next, SDG 13. SDG 13 focuses on climate action, and the target 13.3 emphasizes improving climate education, awareness, and skills, making it relevant for analyzing textbook messages. Another part of the literature review discusses textbooks. Textbooks influence what students learn and how they view global issues. English textbook can help introduce environmental topics, values, and global awareness. Finally, the method used is content analysis. The content analysis allows researchers to systematically identify and interpret messages in text and visual. Next, let's discuss previous studies and the research gap. Several studies in Turkey and Indonesia have analyzed environmental education in textbook and curricula. They found that environmental issues are present but often not deeply integrated. Meanwhile, the research in Indonesia shows gap between curriculum and expectation and actual teaching materials. However, no previous research has examined Indonesian A-level textbook using Capra's ecoliteracy dimensions together with SDG 13, and few have analyzed visual messages. This study fills these gaps by analyzing both textual and visual ecoliteracy messages in Units 2, 3, and 4 of English for Change book. Now let's move to the methodology. This study uses qualitative contents analysis supported by simple descriptive counts. And the second part is the data source. The data come from English for Change grade 11, especially Units 2, 3, and 4. Next is data collection. The steps include reading the units carefully, identifying textual and visual ecoliteracy messages, and recording them in a table. And finally, data analysis. Messages are coded using Capra 4 dimensions and checked for relevance to SDG 13. Then, simple counts and descriptions are used to explain the findings. And that concludes my proposal presentations. Through this study, I hope to provide a clearer picture of how ecoliteracy and climate education are represented in the English for Change textbook. Thank you very much for your attention. Thank you, and wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.